If you're shopping for a new beginner acoustic guitar, there's a lot of options out there. Some are great, some are very bad. Packs tend to be a popular one because you get a bunch of stuff all at once. Today we're going to go over two of the most popular options and a third dark horse that I'm going to recommend, so stick around. Hey, you're watching Alamo Music TV. This is Chris McKee with Alamo Music in San Antonio, Texas. You can find us online at alamomusic.com. If you're new to the channel, subscribe, turn on notifications, like our videos. If you want to support the channel, you can visit our spring store link below for custom swag and check out our podcast, the Fretboard Confessional, wherever you get your podcasts at. So, beginner acoustic guitar, there's a lot of options that are out there. There's a lot of opinions on where you should start. Should you start with electric? Should you start with acoustic? Should you start with a classical style guitar? I'm not going to try to answer all of those questions today because honestly, there's a lot of opinion that's built in there and also need depending upon who you are as a player. We have done videos about that in the past, so make sure that you kind of search through the channel and you'll be able to find some videos about beginning to play guitar. But today I want to focus on packs. Packs are a product that manufacturers make that kind of give you everything that you need to get started for the most part. And two of the most popular packs from manufacturers come from Fender and come from Yamaha. Now we stock these packs in our store. There's other things that are out there on websites that, sound like a river in South America. And what I will warn you is simply this. There's good products and there's bad products. Nothing that I'm going to show you today comes from any kind of manufacturer named Best Choice or otherwise. These are from known, reputable companies, Yamaha and Fender. And so just like with everything, if you're shopping online, buyer beware. Make sure you do your homework like you're doing watching this video, hopefully. So the two that we're looking at today is the Yamaha Gigmaker and the Fender CD60S. Now, I will say with the Fender, there's a lot of options, both in body shape as well as in finish and wood. So they produce this pack with a spruce top, with a natural or black finish. We're going to be looking at the natural today. There's also a smaller body option, so keep that in mind if you are smaller of stature. The CC60S is very similar to what I'm going to be showing you today, just in a smaller body. For its part, the Yamaha basically comes as what I'm going to show you in the Gigmaker pack. There's differences in the specifications on this, and then there's a third one that I think is very important to pay attention to. So let's get started with the Fender. So the Fender CD60S has been around for a minute. They redesigned this a few years ago to make it more advantageous for beginners from a playability standpoint, but also a sound standpoint. The S in the name speaks to the top. This is a solid spruce top. Back and sides are layered mahogany. It's got a walnut fingerboard and bridge. It's a 1 3/4 inch nut width, or 43 millimeter, wherever that puts it actually. And it is a 25.3 inch scale length. Now that puts it a little shorter than a lot of dreadnoughts or big bodied guitars like this that kind of have the square shape to them. A lot of guitars like this out there are 25.5 inch scale length. That's the measurement from the saddle down here at the bridge to the nut. The vibrating length of the string is the scale length. When the scale is longer, the frets are a little bit further apart, and when you bring it up to the proper tuning, the strings are a little tauter, a little more tight. When you shorten the scale length, the frets get a little bit closer together, and when you've tuned that string to the same pitch, they have a little less tightness, a little more slack feel. So you can imagine from a beginner standpoint, when you have to go through that process of building up calluses on your fingers, because there's no shortcut for that. Sorry, I don't care what products on the internet tell you. There's really no shortcut for going through that. The best thing to do is just find a guitar that has great playability. So with this guitar being a slight bit shorter than a lot of guitars this size, you get a little bit more flexibility in the strings. I can tell you from playing this guitar, and you'll hear it when we do a comparison in a moment, that they've also set this up to have lower action. Action is the description of the distance of the strings from the fretboard. So how far away, how close, or how far away they are. In this particular case, the guitar has been set up in such a way to basically benefit a beginner, possibly at the cost of clarity when playing. And what I mean by that is, as you get closer to the fretboard, if you play with a heavy attack or you strum very hard, you can experience fret buzz. So what that means is it's the string effectively rattling against the frets that are further up from where you are fretting the guitar. And it's not necessarily always a pleasant sound. Guitar players with the setup often want to try to strike some balance. In fact, when people bring their guitars to us to get them set up, one of the most common descriptions is, can you get it as low as possible without buzzing? So with that in mind, this guitar is about as close as possible with a little buzz. And I think that they've chosen to do that by and large in order to, and they're consistent, by the way. I've tried a number of these. This was pulled right out of the box. We didn't do any kind of setup or anything. There's no smoke and mirrors going on. What I can tell you is that consistently these are set up in order to have lower action, to have an ease of playability with maybe a sacrifice to some buzz if you play with a heavy attack. If you play with a light attack, you might not experience any at all. That's how it goes. So it's a great feeling guitar. The neck has a gloss finish on it. The fretwork is okay for this price range. In other words, you'd get better fretwork at a higher price point, but this is what you'd expect. Price on this guitar currently is right at about $230. Now, I say currently, you want to check our website at alamomusic.com for the latest pricing, because it could go up. Sometimes during the holidays, there's sales, and these prices could go down. You never know. As of right now, it's about $230, roughly. So it's a pretty straightforward traditional acoustic guitar. When you get it, you get in the pack a gig bag, strap, an extra set of strings, and you get picks. You don't get a tuner. Instead, there's an app that Fender has available on the Play Store or on the Apple App Store that you can download to tune the guitar instead of having a clip-on tuner. And you get 3 months of lessons for free from the Fender Play app. So that's the benefit there. That contrasts a little bit with what you get with the Gigmaker pack. So let's take a look at that. So Yamaha makes fantastic instruments. They are my favorite instrument, or I should say my favorite guitar-making, saxophone-making, motorcycle and off-board motor-making company that exists. And they make a good quality guitar. Now this one, the F310 that comes in the Gigmaker pack, is also a dreadnought-shaped guitar, just like the Fender. Right off the bat, there's a few differences. One, the back of the neck is what we'd call satin finish. Two, there's stuff floating around on the inside of this. Again, not uncommon with a lower priced guitar. But the finish is fantastic. There's no issue. The bridge isn't coming off like I've had famously happen when we ordered a guitar from Amazon and I had to tune it up. You can search Amazon guitar on our channel if you want to see that accidental comedy. But this is a really great guitar for the money. Again, it's about the same price as the Fender. You get roughly a very similar guitar as the Fender. A few differences. I talked about that scale length. This one is even shorter. This one is a 25-inch scale length. So that was 25.3. This is 25. So again, shorter still, less tension on the strings. The action out of the box is a little bit higher on this guitar. I still find it plays just fine. It's not difficult. It's not too high of an action, but you don't have the fret buzz on this one with a hard attack like you do with the Fender. The other thing that we should note is that the CD60S, I talked about S being the solid top in that model name. This one does not have a solid top. It's a laminate top. Laminate is what the back and sides of both of these guitars are made out of. It's a ply, okay? Just like plywood that you'd go pick up at the hardware store. There's 3 layers of wood. They're glued together. They're easy to work with that way. The problem with doing that for the top is that it's a very, very stiff, hard product. You're trying to get 6 strings to vibrate that. And so you don't get as much volume and tone typically out of a laminate top as you do out of a solid top. So I would say most of the time you should try to get a guitar with a solid top instead. But this has great playability. It actually has a really good sound that you'll hear for yourself when we do the comparison. I played these all the same way, so there wasn't trying to improve upon one versus the other. They just sound the way that they sound. One criticism I will have on this guitar is that while it plays fine and the action is set up well, there's a bit more scratchiness on the frets for this one. Now that's probably just because I've been playing for years, and you might not even notice that if you're just playing chords when you're starting out. The only time I noticed it when playing, which was not part of something that we recorded, was bending a note across the frets. I could feel the scratchiness. That's it. Other than that, everything was set up really great out of the box. All of the hardware is fantastic. All of the fit and finish is fantastic on it, and it plays well. Why do I keep saying that? There are so many guitars out there for beginners that are marketed to you at a discount, at a good price or whatever, and they are not made well. There are issues straight out of the box with the tuners. They will break on you. They will bind on you. They won't tune. They won't stay in tune. The necks are coming off. The top is warped. The bridges are coming off. I think we're in the golden era of guitar manufacturing between high technology, CNC manufacturing. We've been able to get a level of consistency that wasn't available before. But if a company wants to cut corners and not, have their wood dried out like they need to and so forth and just throw guitars together, they will, and you'll get a bad product. These are both great for what they are for the money. What you get in the pack in this one is you get the gig bag, strings, strap, picks, and you also get a clip-on tuner, which I think is a great value. Now, typically a clip-on tuner would run you around $20 to $30 on its own for a good quality one. And for a lot of beginners, I think it's a benefit. The reason is, when you're using an app on your phone, maybe it didn't cost you anything, you downloaded it for free, it's great. It uses the microphone on your phone. So if the TV's on, if the radio's on, if a bunch of people are talking, you cannot tune the guitar. You need quiet. Benefit of a clip-on, you don't. It's picking up vibrations through the guitar's neck in order to tune to the proper pitch. So all the noise in the world could be going on for the most part, and you're going to be able to tune just fine. So that's a benefit to this one. And again, it's about the same price. So which one would you choose? Before you make your choice, let me show you a third option. Now, I've done a video on this guitar before, and I said it is one of the best options for a beginner, and I stand by that still. This is another Yamaha. This is the FG800J. Now, this also has a 25-inch scale length, bringing it the same length as the F310 that's in the Gigmaker and shorter than the CD60S. It still has a satin finished neck. It has nicer tuners. It has a solid top. It has scalloped bracing. It is a phenomenal instrument. Years ago, they redesigned from the FG700 to the FG800, and I became an immediate fan. Laminate back inside, solid top. These guitars sound way better than their price. And their price is exactly roughly the same as the other two. Can I say that? Exactly roughly? That's kind of like jumbo shrimp. It's a bit of an oxymoron. Close enough. Dollars and cents here and there, but it's about $230. Now, you don't get this as a pack. You don't get a gig bag with it. You don't get a strap with it. You don't get a tuner. You don't get picks. You don't get a colorful box that looks really great under a Christmas tree if you're getting this as a gift. But it is the better instrument. So you have a choice to make. Now, you can buy one of these and you can get all of those things, and it would probably still come in way under $300 roughly, depending upon how nice of a bag you got and so forth. Or you can get either of the packs. I don't think any of these is the wrong answer or the wrong approach to go with, but I will tell you, for my money, I would get the better instrument and get the other accessories after if I could. So just something to keep in mind. But I'd love to hear your opinions on each of these guitars. Before you make your decision, though, take a listen and see if you can determine which one sounds better to your ear. So there you have it. For my feedback, I was surprised that the F310 that comes in the Gigmaker pack sounded as full as it does, given that it's a laminate top. I wasn't too surprised with the buzz that I experienced and tried to show in the video for the CD60S, because, again, I think the choice has been made to give you easier playability, even if it means you're going to get a little bit of fret buzz. There's a truss rod in the neck of all of these that is used to adjust how much relief is in the neck. In other words, how much it's allowed to bend under the tension of the strings. And so if you ever wanted to dial out that on the CD60S, you certainly could. And I think that that whole pack, those packs from Fender, really benefit from the fact that there's more choices. One of the best-selling versions of that is like an all mahogany version that we often stock as just the guitar, and it's very, very popular. But the black finish one is popular, and the smaller bodies are popular, particularly among girls or women who are learning for the first time, because they tend to be smaller in stature, and the smaller body guitar is a lot more comfortable. So there's definitely some benefits of going with the Fender. But at the end of the day, trust your ears. To me, hopefully you've made your opinion by now, I think the FG800 still sounds the best. It should. It's a solid top. It has scalloped bracing. It's set up in such a way that the action is still great. There's good playability, but it's not going to buzz. It has a fantastic sound. It doesn't come in a pack for the same money, so you would expect it to be the better instrument. And if you like this, there are some higher end versions of this guitar in the whole FG lineup. You can get a smaller body version, the FS800. The FG830 tends to be one of the more popular ones because it looks really nice with an abalone finish, laminate rosewood back and side, and so forth. But the formula is roughly the same for all of them. The whole FG series is a really fantastic series of guitars. So let me know your opinions below, what you think of this lineup. Would you go with the Yamaha Gigmaker, where you get a really good quality guitar that's very well built with some additional benefit in the pack, like the tuner, which is very important? Would you go with the Fender, where you are getting the same price as the Gigmaker, but you get the accessories and a solid top? That might be the Goldilocks pick, to be honest. Or would you go with the better instrument and pay a little bit more to get the accessories that you need? That would be my pick. I'd love to hear what your pick is, and hope that this has been helpful. Now, if you know of any other guitars that are out there on the market that we haven't discussed or overlooked, or you disagree with me and you think something I mentioned that's that I think is not a good pick is a good pick, let us know in the comments. This is for everybody to try to suss through what to choose from the very crowded market that exists out there. For me, these are my picks. I hope that helps. If you like these videos and you want to learn more about guitar, subscribe, turn on notifications, like our videos, and share this with your friends. We're trying to find a larger audience so that we can continue to help people find the right guitar for them. And you can find information on these models on our website at alamomusic.com. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you there.